we like to ask, who is being killed, how are they being killed, and who is doing the telling? Sadly, this year there are 265 folks to be remembered, mourned, and honored. The vast majority on the DoR memorial list were trans women of color engaged in sex work. Some of these women were LGBT activists, some of them were HIV activists, some of them were sex worker activists. One trans woman was a police officer. One Brazilian woman was the state's first travesti to adopt a child. One trans woman was a counselor at a local LGBT organization. Some of these women were killed in their homes, on the street, in cars, in front of businesses, during the day and at night. Some were kidnapped and held captive for days. Some were abandoned on the side of the road, in a ditch, in an abandoned field. 80% of the globally reported murders of trans people from 2008 to 2011 were from Central and South America. 126 cases were from Brazil alone this year. It has been stated that these were not single murders. Their killers, in displaying an especially violent form of hatred, often went from murder to overkill, attempting to obliterate their victims, perhaps in an attempt to erase them completely by any means necessary. These acts include, but are not limited to, gunshots, stabbings, beatings, decapitations, dismemberment, stonings, strangulations, tortures, burnings, mutilations. All of these, none of these, any combination of these, which often included sexually based acts of violence. The perpetrators were often cisgender men. They were clients, potential clients, partners, ex-partners, lovers, friends, family members, law enforcement, and other trans folks who were well aware of these women's trans statuses. We have to ask, why were they killed? Because she was rumored to have HIV and he was afraid he was infected? Because she was rumored to have stolen a small object from him? Because she reminded him of his mother? Because he was appalled by her identity? Because it was an honor killing? Because he didn't like her silicone breasts.
So what does all this mean? This means in 56 countries between January 2008 and November 2012, each month, there were 22 reported murders of trans, two-spirit, and gender non-conforming people. We know even these high numbers are only a fraction of the real figures. The truth is worse. Additionally, it is important to recognize that transphobia is directly linked to a long list of social problems, and therefore they should be included when deconstructing and dismantling transphobia. These social problems include things such as racism, sexism, patriarchy, misogyny, transmisogyny, xenophobia, colonization, violence against women, poverty, homophobia, heterosexism, ableism, homelessness, ageism, HIV phobia, and the exploitation of trans folks by cis men of privilege. Let's not forget the discrimination and invisibility of trans folks within the LGBT community. These issues affect the rights of trans folks in general, but more specifically the following groups: sex workers, Indigenous women, people of color, inmates, immigrants and refugees, people with mental illness, and parents.
Considering that the vast majority of violence against women is done by men, we need to inspire men and boys to participate in gender-based violence. Boys and men to participate in gender violence prevention. I would like to introduce Kelly Poole. Kelly's from Sandy Bay. She is a survivor of residential schools and was upgrade. She's going to share with us some of her personal experience.